The last part of our note sheet involves putting sequences in order, trying to figure out what happened first, what happened next, finally what happened last. We have 4 different sequences here. Some are much more complex than others. We'll start with C because we'll start with B because B is pretty low in terms of drama. For each of these, we're going to number with 1 being the first thing that happened. We need to be sure to label all the layers, faults, folds or tilts, erosion, inclusion, and intrusion. Now I say tilt or fold because you usually don't see the whole fold. You don't usually see the whole rainbow of an anticline. You just see part of it. So we'll just call that tilt. It's really the limb of the fold. So if we look at B, first of all, we notice that there's kind of two things to keep track of. Right here we have an erosion line. Remember, that's an unconformity. The layers are horizontal under it, so that's a disconformity. And we have this slice up through here. That's a fault. So those are kind of our two dramatic things. You can also say that these little pebbles here, these inclusions, those are inclusions. They're pretty dramatic as well. It's part of our list. So if I'm going to start numbering this, with 1 being the oldest, I'm going to start at the bottom. Superposition, oldest is on the bottom. Above that would be number 2. The black layer would be number 3. This thicker white layer would be number 4. I'm going to go check on the other side of the fault. Let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 for the sandstone. Over on the left side, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the sandstone. So I noticed the sandstone's missing from the right side of the fault. The sandstone must have been there before the fault, though, because the fault can't cut through the air. Has to cut through rock layers. The erosion cut off the top of the whole thing. So the next thing to form here must have been the fault. So the fault's number 6. The erosion's going to be number 7. Those inclusions they'll be 8 because they're older than the layer they're included in. The layer they're included in will be 9, and the top will be 10. So we had 10 layers and processes in total for that one. If we look at C, we have a fault. We have an intrusion in this one. Remember, that's magma that's burned its way through. And we have some erosion. But we don't actually have any of those inclusions this time. This fault over here, it's probably the same as this fault. If you look at the spacing, it's probably the same. So it cut sideways through here, and it appears to be angled back. So if I'm going to start numbering, I'm going to start at the bottom. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Sandstone is 5. If I check on the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, sandstone's 5. It's trickier if I start over here because I'm kind of missing that little bottom edge. If I worked my way down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that works out. So I've got most of the layers. Just that top one is left, but I know there's a lot of drama to happen in between. Between my intrusion and my fault. The fault is cut by this intrusion. So based on cross-cutting relationships, the fault must be older than the intrusion. So the fault's going to be 6. The intrusion is cut off by the erosion, so the intrusion will be 7. So 6, 7. The erosion will be number 8. And the top layer will be number 9. So only 9 events here, but actually a lot more drama than we had over here. We'll go to A next. For A, we have a few things going on. We have an intrusion, and that intrusion carries over to the left side. The whole left side is tilted. That's a folding event. We have an erosion line, and we do have some of those inclusions there. Now this one's pretty tricky because you might start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you did that, you'd miss some. Because based on what I just did, the sandstone here is number 2. But if I look at this sandstone, there's 2 below it. So I'm going to say that number 1 is this piece right here. I'm not saying the intrusion's first, because the intrusion clearly cut through the other layers, cross-cutting relationships. So I've got 1, 2, 3. The sandstone's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going up the left side. Sandstone's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Going up the left side. So all those layers put in order. They did get tilted. There was an intrusion. I have to decide which happened next. If I look at the intrusion, it points very much to the top. Magma works its way up to the surface. I'm going to assume the tilt happened before the intrusion because the intrusion burns its way up through the layers. So I'm going to put that the tilt is number 10. The intrusion's 11. Next, the erosion cuts off the top of the intrusion. So the erosion will be 12. Those inclusions will be 13. And the top layer will be number 14 on our list. So we have 14 events here. This last one has 20. You could argue it has 21, you could argue it has 20. In any case, this one would be an extra credit. The hardest I would have you do would be A. So go ahead and give this a try. If you can get the answer right, bring it in. Maybe I'll give you some extra credit points.